Here's an interesting thing that I did not know. Now, here it says here Scottish Parliament rejects prostitution bill at stage one. Now, I was certain that that was just illegal everywhere in Scotland. I just assumed that that was illegal, but apparently there is a way that you can work around it. Which I wasn't aware of. The Scottish Parliament has rejected proposed legislation that would have criminalised the act of paying for sex. Soliciting in public, curb crawling, and brothel keeping are illegal in Scotland. There's one literally right through there. In the next building. That's the thing is, it's a massage parlour, right? How many massage parlours do you know of that need security guards? Just saying. But anyway, but paying for sex and arranging for it online are legal. That's does that not fall under all the purview of this? So doing it on the internet is totally fine. You just can't do it physically. The old-fashioned way, like rolling down the window and going, "I want to fuck you up the ass," and all right, just because of that old clip. But no, apparently doing it via the internet is totally fine. Dial a hoe or a mail order hoe. Apparently, that's something you can just do. I wasn't aware. The Prostitution Offences and Support Scotland Bill, tabled by independent MSP Ash Regan, would, would have created a criminal offence for paying for sexual services and repealed the existing offence of soliciting. It was rejected by 64 votes to 54 with no abstentions. Of course, all the MPs are going to be like, no. Wait a minute. Well, then what am I supposed to do at the weekends? Have sex with my wife? Ugh, disgusting. Yeah, of course they're all going to vote against it. The bill fell at stage one when, when MSPs are asked to agree its general principles. The government did not support the bill, sparking a rebellion among a small group of SNP MSPs. While ministers said that they supported the fundamental principle of the proposals, they argued the bill was too flawed to be passed before Hollywood splits up for May's election. Following the vote, Reagan said, "Today, Parliament chose cowardice over action. Despite overwhelming evidence, survivor testimony, and support from police prosecutors and international experts. Inaction is not neutral, it is a decision, and it has consequences." Reagan has sought to target the buyers of sexual services by creating a new offence of paying for sexual acts. Now, I get it. How would OnlyFans work under that? Because it's not exactly a sexual act. Oh, well, I know that back in the, I don't know. In fact, it probably is still a fucking thing. I know that it was like, what was it called again? It was like an online strip club type thing where you would like watch a girl on cam and you would send her money. It was like an online strip club type thing. Like, would that count as it? Because that's kind of a sexual thing. You're paying money online for a sexual thing. Like, I don't. That's a sexual act, though. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I've never in my life used prostitutes or anything like that because that's fucking yucky. I'd rather roll around in a pile of barbed wire and then swim through raw sewage. You've got a lesser chance of catching something that way. Existing soliciting offences would have been repealed with historic convictions quashed. Okay. Sex workers would also have been granted the right to support and assistance. During the debate at Holyrood, Regan told MSPs this unbuyable bill recognises prostitution for what it is, a system of exploitation and violence sustained by demand. It decriminalises those who are sold, recognises them as people constrained by vulnerability and not offenders. Well, here's the funny thing is, we are such a welfare state that women don't have to do that. They don't have to do that. There are women who have been trafficked and are being forced to do that, and every single measure should be taken to protect them. That's completely fine. These are the ones that are like, "Oh, hey, do you want to come over from Albania and we'll totally get you a job in this bar? You'll have a whole new life." And then they arrive at some flat, they get their passport taken from them, they get threatened by a bunch of very scary men, and and hey ho, that's their life now. You're going to have about 20 gentlemen callers a single night and everything. So those people, absolutely, we should be doing everything in our power to try and help. However, as for a woman that's like, "I might just do prostitution," we live in a welfare state. You don't have to. You have a house, money, fucking everything given to you. And we're not talking about the biggest act of prostitution, marriage. Where basically you're getting a bunch of money and a bunch of stuff for sex. Except the best thing about prostitution is you get the sex up front, you give them the money later. Right? Marriage, you give them everything up front and then they withdraw the sex later. Hey ho, it's the way it is. So if anything, prostitution's much more efficient. Probably about as clean as. But anyway, uh, and it places criminality where it is never properly sat in Scots law, with those who buy sexual access and those who profit from the sale of sexual access to human beings. I'm pretty sure that being a pimp's illegal in Scotland. Is this me? Is this me? I don't know if it's maybe just because I'm focused on so much speech law that I just don't focus whatsoever on any of the other ones. Like, I can remember I was bewildered ages ago because there was an article I read where, Scotland is going to make upskirting a crime. And I was kind of like, it wasn't before. Like, you could just go up and take a photo underneath someone's skirt, and that wasn't a crime. That blew my fucking mind because I thought that's one of the things that you can just safely assume is a crime. But apparently it fucking wasn't. So, and that was fucking weird. So yeah, basically I didn't know you could totally be a pimp. You could just be a pimp in Scotland as long as you do it online. She told MSPs any issues with the bill were not insurmountable. In an impassioned closing speech, Reagan said that the vote would be a stain on the record of those who did not back the bill. Victims Minister Siobhan Brown expressed regret that the government could not support the bill, but said there was not sufficient time to develop the proposals and address very significant issues they have with the bill. The minister had raised doubts about how the new offence could be enforced, noting particular concerns over online activity. It would require online surveillance. It would require. Anyway, she also cited concerns that the bill could increase the risk of violence against sex workers because it could reduce their ability to assess the risk of buyers. Brown told MSPs, I do not think that in 6 short weeks the bill can be amended sufficiently to allay those concerns and the other flaws in the bill. She also reiterated her commitment that an SNP administration would revisit the issue if returned to power after May's election. SNP MSP Michelle Thompson, who rebelled against the government, told the BBC Scotscast that her party should have been given a free vote on the bill. She told MSPs that sex workers were at a much higher risk of being attacked and murdered, more likely to develop drug and alcohol issues, and suffer mental ill health than other women. She urged MSPs to reject the entitlement of some men to demand the purchase of women, adding that they should not be traded as commodities. The bill was backed by the Conservatives and Labour, with the Greens and Liberal Democrats opposed, because of fucking course. Tory Justice spokesman Liam Kerr described the bill as flawed, citing concerns from Police Scotland that their proposed legislation would have cost up to £321 million a year to enforce. They're already not solving burglaries and all that, so they're not exactly going to go after this. Yeah, there's a lot of things that the police just don't enforce, and it's not even because they just don't feel like it, it's because they literally don't have the power to anymore. Burglaries are sky high. Sky high, because the police don't even bother to try and investigate them. However, he urged MSPs back the proposals at stage 1 as part of efforts to reduce violence against women and girls. Labour's Pauline McNeill, backing the bill, says that there was an uneven power dynamic within prostitution, where it is overwhelmingly women who are exploited and men causing harm. I don't think male prostitution's a fucking thing. Like, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Maybe it is. I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. Are there really male prostitutes? I know there's male prostitutes out there for men. I mean, I just not long ago recovered a video about one of those. But like, are there really women who use sex workers? Is that a thing? I don't think it is. It's very, very easy for women to have sex. Go to a nightclub, turn up. There you are. You'll go home with someone if you're so inclined, right? But I don't fucking know. Also, I still think the MPs don't want it because they're like, no, I love my hoes. Because they're MPs. Everybody in government seems to be a fucking sexual degenerate. Speaking against the bill, Green MSP Maggie Chapman said, where sex work happens between consenting adults, I believe the state should support people, not penalise them for how they choose to live. The Liberal will not support them, but again, don't punish them. Again, libertarian, right? But I'll go into that at the end. The Liberal Democrats also opposed the bill. Party leader Alex Cole-Hamilton said evidence from other countries, such as Australia, suggested criminalisation can result in increased marginalisation and additional barriers to accessing support services. We can't wish prostitution away, and as it will forever exist, we need to make sure it happens in the safest possible way, he told MSPs, and unfortunately that is also my opinion. However, Regan insisted that the Nordic model proposed in her bill was the only way to reduce harm. And there's just a wee bit of blurb at the end. Okay, now here's the problem is, right, should prostitution, blah, 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 be legal? Yeah, because, you know, libertarian, whatever happens between two consenting adults is nobody else's business, right? However, is it good for society? No. Prostitution's bad. There's a lot of room for exploitation, women being, you know, violently assaulted, all those other things as well. So in that regard, it is bad. Is it good for the soul? No. Right, would I love a world where it wasn't around at all? Yes, I absolutely would love for that. However, it's called the oldest job in the world for a reason. Right, this is the reason why sex services and porn and everything's so popular. Right, I actually used to do a bit of this in my stand-up. Sex is the only thing that doesn't have to advertise. It doesn't have to advertise because that is hard-coded into your firmware. Right? Nobody hits puberty and then has a wet dream about an iPhone. Right? Nobody thinks about the new car. Nobody sits there going, oh, kind of feel like I want to go down to Primark right now and buy myself that new jumper. Nobody has that. Sex does that though. Sex doesn't have to advertise. You are coded to want that product. Right? That's just the way it is. That's just the way you are. Men, have you ever not came for about 4 or 5 days? Or you're thinking about it, right? It's like a hunger, right? That's the problem, right? Now, a lot of people, I wish you could just do what I do, nip into the toilet for 5 minutes, sort yourself out, come back out and get on with your day, right? Just that's the way. I've got stuff to do. I've got stuff to do. I'm a busy man, right? That's just what you do. That's just what you do, right? However, lots of people want to have sex with someone. Maybe it's just because they're a bit of a dirty bastard, or maybe it is because they just want to feel closeness with someone. Apparently, there's a lot of prostitutes that get hired just for cuddling, you know, which is really, really sad. However, this is the thing: is you're never going to get rid of prostitution. You're never going to get rid of it. Even in some of the most like strictest countries on earth, prostitution still exists. So this is the problem. You're never going to get rid of it. That's what I say about drugs as well. You're never going to get rid of them. So the best thing that you can do is try to make it as safe as you possibly can. Right? That's just the sad fact of life. Remember the war on drugs? Oh, we're the war on drugs. Well, we've lost that about 18 times now. Right? And it's just clearly they're not going anywhere. Right? The war on prostitution is apparently they're going to start. That's not going to have the exact same effect. It's going to be billions and billions wasted in the police, and it's not going to go anywhere. In fact, there's a bigger chance of getting rid of drugs entirely than there is of getting rid of prostitution entirely, right? Because again, you're not hard coded in your brain to fucking want drugs all the time. However, you are hard coded to want sex, right? It's the only product that does not have to advertise. That's why porn's so popular. That's why OnlyFans is so popular. That's why you get people online that are like, I hate women. Women are fucking terrible. And then 2 seconds later, they're messaging an OnlyFans girl saying, oh my God, fart in my fucking eyes. Right? That's just sad fact of life. People horny. Because people programmed to be horny. So, yeah. But still, don't use sex workers. Just for the sake of your soul, just don't use sex workers.